They were captured into the frame, and then they were gone, captured by security cameras, their final moments preserved, yet offering no answers, no violence, no screams. Just silence and vanishing. Mysteries caught on security cameras that continue to haunt investigators and the world. Still, truth remains unseen. Here's 5 disappearances where security cameras captured something unexplainable. Story 1. It was a chilly spring morning in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, when 16-year-old Mekayla Bali left home for school and never came back. What makes her disappearance so haunting is that nearly every moment of her day was captured on camera. Mekayla Margaret Kim Bali was born on July 2nd, 1999, in Regina, Saskatchewan. She was originally named Niebergall, but 7 months before she vanished, she changed her last name to Bali, her mother's maiden name. Mekayla lived with her mother, grandmother, and 2 younger siblings in Yorkton. Her family described her as a shy, gentle girl, someone who loved the violin, her school's drama club, and helping others. She wasn't a risk-taker or a troublemaker. Her friends called her the caring one. April 12th, 2016. That day began like any other. Her grandmother dropped her off at Sacred Heart High School around 8:10 a.m. Cameras showed her arriving, logging on to the school Wi-Fi, and then leaving through a back door just minutes later. Over the next few hours, Mekayla was seen across Yorkton, alone, always on the move. Surveillance footage tracked her to a bank, a pawn shop, and a Tim Hortons restaurant. At the bank, she withdrew $55. At the restaurant, she bought a drink, sat in a booth, and spent hours on her phone, sending texts, making calls, and appearing to wait for someone. Friends later told police she'd been talking about going somewhere, maybe to Regina or Saskatoon, and had mentioned boys named Josh and Christopher, people she'd met online, but no one really believed she'd leave home. Mekayla wasn't the type to run away. That morning, she sent several messages. One said, "Hey, I need help." Minutes later, she followed it with, "Never mind, I figured it out." Shortly after, she asked a woman in the restaurant if she could help her rent a hotel room. The woman declined, and Mekayla left again. Around noon, she returned briefly to school, telling 2 classmates she was going on vacation to Regina. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. By evening, when she didn't come home, her mother reported her missing. Her phone went silent the next morning, never used again. Investigators pieced together every second of that day from dozens of surveillance videos, yet despite following more than 600 tips, searching lakes, hotels, and online messages, they found nothing. Not a single confirmed sighting since that Tuesday in 2016. Mekayla's social media showed she had been chatting with people outside her province, some even in the US. Police looked into them all, but no evidence ever connected anyone to her disappearance. Her mother still believes she might have been lured. Others think she met someone she trusted and something went wrong. But after years of searching, the truth is still missing. Just like Mekayla, her story is one of haunting contradictions. A quiet girl in a small town, captured on camera at every turn. Her final hours documented in perfect clarity. And then, nothing. A last frame. A girl walking calmly down a street, her phone in hand, her eyes searching for someone or something. Yet, behind those quiet steps was a mystery no one could predict. Even with all the technology in the world, sometimes the truth hides in plain sight and vanished. Story 2. The night before September 11th, 2001, a young doctor named Sneha Philip walked into a Manhattan department store. The store's surveillance cameras captured her last known appearance, browsing for candles, bedding, and shoes. She looked relaxed, calm, completely unaware that the world was about to change forever. Sneha Philip was born on October 7th, 1969, in Kerala, India, one of 3 children in a close, loving family. Her parents, Ansu and Philip Kochil, later moved to New York, chasing opportunity and a better life for their children. Sneha was brilliant, a Johns Hopkins graduate, painter, and musician at heart, who found her calling in medicine. In 1995, while studying at the Chicago Medical School, she met a fellow student named Ron Lieberman. He was artistic, like her, a musician, and they fell deeply in love. After traveling through Italy together, they both moved to New York City to begin their medical internships. Sneha worked at Cabrini Medical Center in Manhattan. Ron was stationed at Jacobi in the Bronx. In 2000, the couple married in a ceremony that blended Jewish and Indian Christian traditions. They moved into a modest apartment in Battery Park City, just blocks away from the World Trade Center. By all accounts, Sneha was compassionate and full of life, someone who painted, volunteered, and dreamed big. But beneath the surface, there were struggles. She'd recently faced challenges at work, a contract that wasn't renewed, nights of drinking, and a pending misdemeanor charge after reporting a co-worker for harassment. Her family believed these were temporary setbacks, that she was ready to rebuild her life. Then came September 10th, 2001, the last day anyone ever saw her. That morning, Sneha was off duty. She spent 2 hours chatting online with her mother, talking about daily life and plans for the future. She mentioned she might visit Windows on the World, the restaurant atop the North Tower where a friend was getting married soon. That afternoon, she dropped off dry cleaning, then went shopping at Century 21, a department store just steps from the Twin Towers. Surveillance footage showed her browsing calmly through aisles, buying a dress, shoes, and linens. Simple, everyday things. She looked composed, normal, alive. That was the last confirmed sighting of Sneha Philip. Ron returned home after midnight to find the apartment empty. He assumed Sneha had stayed with a friend, something she occasionally did. But the next morning, as he prepared for work, she still wasn't home. At around 8:46 a.m., the first plane hit the North Tower. Ron rushed back toward their neighborhood, crossing police barricades using his hospital ID. When he finally reached their apartment, the windows were open and the place was coated in gray ash from the collapse. Their 2 kittens had left small paw prints in the dust, but there were no human footprints. Sneha had never returned. In the days and weeks after, her family searched every hospital, every shelter, every morgue. Her photo appeared on countless flyers, one among thousands of missing. Some believed she was one of the many physicians who instinctively ran toward the burning towers to help others, including NYPD investigators, questioned whether she had met a different fate entirely. Police records revealed marital stress, late-night outings to bars, and even claims of affairs, all strongly denied by her husband and family. They insisted these details were exaggerated or fabricated, pointing to a pattern of character assassination instead of investigation. Private investigator Ken Gallant reviewed the building's lobby footage at 8:43 a.m., just 3 minutes before the first impact. A woman entered the building, matching Sneha's silhouette and movements. She waited near the elevator, then disappeared from view. Some believe this was Sneha returning home, moments before the world changed forever. But the questions never stopped. Was she really there that morning? Did she run toward the towers, drawn by the instinct to help, or did something else happen the night before? Something no one ever uncovered. In 2008, after years of legal battles, a New York appellate court ruled that Sneha Philip was officially among the victims of the 9/11 attacks. The 2,751st name etched into the memorial at Ground Zero. Her body was never found. Her jewelry, her passport, her belongings all remained untouched in the apartment. Her family still visits the memorial on her birthday, her mother leaving flowers beneath her name. To this day, her room remains untouched, frozen in time, a quiet monument to who she was and who she might have become. Was she one of the heroes who ran toward the smoke to save others, or a woman whose secrets were buried beneath the dust of a tragedy too vast to comprehend? No one truly knows, but perhaps that's what keeps her memory alive. The woman who vanished at the edge of history itself. Story 3. On April 15th, 2005, District Attorney Ray Gricar left his courthouse office in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. Security cameras caught him walking to his car, dressed neatly, briefcase in hand, looking composed. That footage would become the last confirmed image of him alive. Ray Frank Gricar was the kind of man people trusted, a sharp-minded attorney, calm, deliberate, and respected for his integrity. For 2 decades, he served as the district attorney of Center County, Pennsylvania, a man known for his quiet discipline and strong sense of justice. Born on October 9th, 1945, in Cleveland, Ohio, Ray was raised in a working-class neighborhood. After earning his law degree from Case Western Reserve University, he began his career prosecuting serious crimes, the kind of cases that could weigh heavily on anyone's conscience. In 1980, he moved to State College, Pennsylvania, where his wife had taken a position at Penn State. Soon, he was offered a job as an assistant district attorney, and by 1985, he'd been elected district attorney himself. He won re-election 4 more times. His peers called him thoughtful, cautious, even methodical, but behind that quiet demeanor was a man who carried the weight of difficult choices, including one that would come to haunt investigators long after he vanished. By 2005, at age 59, Ray had decided it was time to retire. He'd planned to step down that December, just months away. His colleagues said he seemed calm and ready for the next chapter of his life. But then came April 15th, the day he disappeared. Just like an ordinary day, Ray left his home in Bellefonte, where he lived with his girlfriend, Patty Fornicola. At around 11:30 a.m., he called her and said he was taking a drive through the Brush Valley area, a peaceful route he often enjoyed. His voice sounded normal, steady. It was the last time anyone heard from him. When he didn't return that evening, Patty reported him missing. The next day, police found his red Mini Cooper parked near an antique store in Lewisburg, a quiet town along the Susquehanna River, about 60 miles from home. Inside the car was his county-issued cell phone, but no wallet, laptop, or keys. There were no signs of struggle, no footprints, no evidence of where he might have gone. Search teams combed the river and surrounding woods, but found nothing. Then, months later, July 30th, a fisherman discovered his missing laptop submerged in the Susquehanna River. Strangely, the hard drive had been removed. Weeks later, the drive itself surfaced downstream, destroyed beyond repair. Investigators later revealed that before his disappearance, someone at Ray's home had searched online for how to destroy a hard drive. Whether that was him or someone else remains unknown. Police considered three possible explanations. The first, that Ray had ended his own life. The spot where his car was found was eerily similar to where his older brother, Roy, who had passed away in 1996, also near a river. But Ray had shown no signs of distress. He was looking forward to retirement, traveling, and spending time with family. The second theory, that he had quietly walked away to start over. Some say he admired a case of a missing police chief who successfully vanished to begin anew. Witnesses even claim to have seen him afterward, in a bar, watching baseball, or perhaps overseas in Europe, where he had family roots. But none of those sightings were ever confirmed. The third theory, that someone wanted him silenced. Ray had worked on complex illegal substance cases and had declined to prosecute powerful figures in the past. Some wondered if one of those decisions might have come back to haunt him. But again, no proof. Years passed. No remains, no bank activity, no messages, just the haunting image of his empty car beside the river. In 2011, after 6 years without a trace, Ray Gricar was officially declared dead. But to this day, police still receive tips. They even renewed a $5,000 reward for information in 2025, nearly 2 decades after he vanished. Ray's story is a puzzle of contradictions. A man who upheld the law, now lost in its shadows. His career ended not in a courtroom, but in a mystery that feels almost cinematic. The prosecutor who simply drove away one spring afternoon, leaving behind a trail of silence, a river, and a laptop with no voice left inside. Did he choose to disappear? Was he silenced for what he knew? Or was it something else? A quiet moment of despair no one ever saw coming. Whatever the truth, one thing remains certain. Ray Gricar's name lingers, not just in files and reports, but in the uneasy space between reason and the unknown. Story 4. In the historic city of York, England, where cobblestone streets wind between old stone walls, a quiet mystery still lingers. The story of a woman who simply vanished on her way to work. Claudia Elizabeth Lawrence was 35 years old, a bright, kind-hearted chef at the University of York's Gricar College. She was known for her warmth, independence, and love of conversation. Friends said she could light up a room. Born on February 27, 1974, Claudia grew up in Malton, North Yorkshire, with her parents, Peter and Joan, and her sister, Ali. Her father was a respected solicitor. Her mother once served as the town's mayor. Claudia had a comfortable upbringing and studied at York College for Girls before training as a chef. She worked in hotels and restaurants before settling into her steady job at the university, where she found both routine and peace. By 2007, she had purchased her own small cottage in the suburb of Heworth, just 3 miles from campus. It was modest but cozy, a symbol of her independence. On the morning of March 18, 2009, Claudia began her usual day. She started her 6 a.m. shift at the campus cafe and finished at 2 p.m. CCTV captured her walking home, calm, content, her bag slung over her shoulder. Later that afternoon, she was seen near her local shop, just a few minutes from her front door. That evening, she spoke to both her parents by phone. Her mother, Joan, recalled that Claudia was cheerful and relaxed. They chatted about Mother's Day plans. Claudia said she'd go to bed early. She had another early morning shift ahead. Her final text was sent at 8:23 p.m., and another came in just after 9. Then, silence. The next morning, March 19th, Claudia didn't show up for work. Her phone rang when her manager called, but went unanswered. That night, she missed a planned meetup with a close friend at her favorite pub, the Nag's Head. By Friday, when she still hadn't responded to calls or texts, her friend alerted Claudia's father. Peter Lawrence drove straight to her cottage. Everything inside looked normal. The bed neatly made, dishes in the sink, her handbag, passport, and bank cards all untouched. The only things missing were her work rucksack, her chef's whites, and her mobile phone. It appeared she had left for work as usual, but never arrived. When police began investigating, there were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, no clue. At first, they treated it as a simple missing person case. Perhaps she had taken a trip or stayed with a friend. But as days turned into weeks, it became clear something far more serious had happened. Her phone was switched off around noon on the 19th, and her last known signal came from a tower close to home, suggesting she never left the area. Then came the theories. Police began exploring every aspect of Claudia's life. She was single, but sociable, known to have had several relationships, some with men who were already involved elsewhere. Investigators wondered whether someone from her private life could hold the key to what happened. Yet those close to her described her as cautious, never reckless, and fiercely loyal to her friends. Her disappearance sparked national attention. Posters flooded York, and her father, Peter, became one of the UK's most recognizable advocates for missing persons. Appeals ran on television, including a reconstruction on BBC Crime Watch, but leads kept collapsing into dead ends. Over the years, multiple people were questioned, some arrested, then released. Properties were searched, including pubs, homes, and even lakes. At one point, detectives examined gravel pits north of York using radar and specialist dogs. Nothing was found. Every theory, from an accident to a planned escape, was investigated, yet none fit. There was no evidence she had left willingly, no passport taken, no message sent. Those who knew her best said she would never have disappeared without a word. One haunting possibility remained, that someone she trusted had offered her a lift that morning. Her route to work, just a quiet mile through residential streets, should have been safe. But with her phone deliberately turned off later that day, investigators believed she might have been intercepted by someone she knew. Her father, Peter, never stopped searching. He became a powerful voice for change, campaigning for a law that would help families manage the affairs of loved ones who vanish. His efforts led to Claudia's Law, passed in 2017, allowing families to act as guardians after a disappearance. In 2021, Peter passed away without ever learning what happened to his daughter. Today, Claudia's case remains one of Britain's most perplexing mysteries. Despite countless searches, interviews, and renewed appeals, no trace of her has ever been found. Every year, new whispers surface, new claims, new hopes, but the truth still hides behind the silence of that March morning. Was she taken by someone she trusted? Did she encounter danger on her walk to work? Or was there something deeper, something no one saw coming? All that's known for sure is this: Claudia Lawrence left her home before dawn and vanished into the quiet streets of York, leaving behind a mystery that refuses to fade. And somewhere out there, perhaps, someone still holds the answer. Story 5. In July 2014, what began as a summer holiday with friends turned into one of the most chilling and inexplicable disappearances ever caught on camera. Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German man from Itzehoe, Schleswig-Holstein, had never traveled abroad before. He worked steadily at a power plant, spent time with his girlfriend, and often helped his parents after his father suffered a stroke. To everyone who knew him, Lars was a kind, ordinary man, thoughtful, dependable, and happy when he and his friends decided to visit the Golden Sands Resort near Varna, Bulgaria. It was meant to be a carefree getaway. For most of the week, they swam, played football, went clubbing, and enjoyed the sun. But on the final night, July 6th, everything changed. A disagreement at a bar between Lars, a Werder Bremen fan, and a group of Bayern Munich supporters led to a fight. The next morning, Lars returned to his hotel with visible injuries, an injured jaw and a ruptured eardrum. A doctor advised him not to fly and prescribed the antibiotic cefprozil. Lars insisted his friends go home without him, promising he'd follow once cleared to travel. That night, he checked into a budget hotel near the airport, but his behavior began to change. CCTV footage showed him pacing nervously in the halls, peering through windows, and hiding in an elevator. When he called his mother, Sandra, his voice was low, trembling. He said people were following him and that she should cancel his credit cards. "I thought, God, my son is in danger," she later said. "I could hear his heart pounding through the phone." The next morning, July 8th, Lars texted her, "I made it to the airport." Moments later, everything took a surreal turn. At the Varna Airport Medical Office, Dr. Kosta Kostov described Lars as anxious but coherent. Yet when a construction worker entered the room, Lars suddenly panicked. He stood up and shouted, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." He ran out of the office, leaving behind his phone, wallet, and passport. Security footage captured him sprinting out of the terminal, across the parking lot, climbing a fence, and disappearing into a nearby forest. He was never seen again. What triggered his fear remains unknown. Some believe he suffered a sudden mental health crisis. Others suspect he was genuinely being pursued. There were also unverified claims that he got involved in something dangerous, or that his injuries led to extreme confusion. By 2018, the airport footage of his frantic escape had been viewed over 16 million times. It earned Lars the haunting title, "The Most Famous Missing Person on YouTube." Years later, his mother still believes he's alive, perhaps disoriented, lost somewhere, unable to remember who he is. Lars Mittank's case remains one of the internet's most haunting mysteries, a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest disappearances are the ones that unfold right before our eyes. 5 people, 5 stories caught on camera, moments that should have brought clarity, but instead deepened the mystery. We can replay the footage, slow it down, study every shadow, yet the truth stays just out of reach. What happened beyond the frame? Who or what waited just past the camera's edge? Some mysteries live on, not because we stop searching, but because the moment they vanish, they take the answers with them. This is Vanished.